Perfect. Well, I'm super excited. This is always exciting for me to get to share brand new something like this. And basically, human design is a really amazing system that allows us to not only kind of get an idea of our own personal blueprint, but it also gives us a really amazing tool in learning how we can actually navigate life based on our own personal design. And it's going to be really fun because we're all generators here of one type or another this evening. And what happens is that when we start to live our life by our design, we actually start to learn that life doesn't have to be so difficult. We learn that if we actually start to respond to life the way that we're meant to, that life can actually be easy, it can be seamless, it can be fun, and we can actually find and create the things in our life that actually light us up and make us happy, which is really what life is supposed to be. It's actually supposed to be happy. So what we're basically going to be going over this evening in this chart, if you look at your design there, you're going to see a whole lot of different lines and gates and squares and triangles and all of these things. But this chart is actually designed of a bunch of different kind of systems all put into one. And it's a mix of astrology. It's a mix of the 64 gates with the hexagrams of the I-Ching. It has within it, if you look at the way it's drawn out, it kind of looks like the chakra system. It also involves a lot of our human DNA, our genetics, and how we can really change that. As well as if you flip it upside down, it looks a lot like the Tree of Life. And the really neat thing about this is I kind of like to think of it as kind of getting your astrology chart done, but kind of on like amplified, because it's incorporating so many more things that you can use to not just see what your life print is like, but actually learn how to have tools, how to deal with your everyday life. So one of the neat things about human design is it was something that was actually downloaded to everybody on this beautiful planet by a being it was like in 1987. The fun story about human design is that he wasn't really looking to bring this through. It just kind of came to him. He came home one day and it was as if this energy kind of overtook him, and for like 8 days he just sat in his room and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote all of this system. And actually, he didn't want to do it. He got so fed up with it, and it was such a strenuous process for him that he got it and he threw it away. He didn't want anything to do with it, but it kept coming back in his life and coming back in his life. And eventually, just like as we're going to learn in human design, as his type was, he had people come in that actually started to help him get the word out and do some of the work for him. And since then, basically, people have, in a lot of ways, allowed their skepticism of the system to get them to research it. And every time that they go into it more and more and more and more and more, they actually validate it more and more. So it's one of these amazing gifts that was told to him that it was given to us for the children. And so one of the really neat things I love is that, one, we're learning it so that we can live our design. But two, it's that if we can start to learn how all of these types interact together, then as we raise our children on this beautiful planet, as we interact with others on this beautiful planet, we can start to live in harmony together, because this system's really about how we all co-create together and how we are meant to kind of uplift one another, and that we all don't have to do everything. We kind of are in a society that we all think we have to just go out there and make life happen and just be the ones to just do it. And unfortunately, not all of us have that type. Unfortunately, it's only about 10% of the planet that has that type, and the rest of us are meant to follow different strategies. So that's what we're going to learn tonight. We're going to learn, first of all, what our types are. So we know generators, manifesting generators. but there's 3 other different types. So we're going to learn the different types. We're going to learn how those types work together. We're going to learn about what is strategy. So that really cool word on there, that on your paper that says to respond, I'm going to go into a lot of detail about what responding really is. And every type has a different strategy. We're also going to go into some of the light details on the graph as far as the open center. So we're going to learn about some of the places we're most likely to be our not self. And then we're just going to go over again how it is that we actually can take all of this information and live our design. And then I will touch in the very end a little bit about our incarnation cross, your profile, which was that cool number that looks like a fraction, and basically how to start incorporating it, and if you wanted to take this chart further, how you would do it. So before we go any further, Rihanna, if you could unmute your, hi. I just wanted to ask you what your type was. There you go. Rihanna, are you there? Did I lose her? Okay. Never mind, you guys. She might have popped off for a minute. Okay, so let's just go. Okay, so with human design, you can see that on the pie chart, generators and manifesting generators, which is what our group is this evening, makes up the majority of the pie. And here we are. So there are 5 types, and I like to show it together kind of in a pie format, because what I like to paint first and foremost is that if you were to imagine that there were 100 people in a village, that there were 100 of us in a town, about 70 people in the town would be of a generator type. About 20 of the people would be a projector, there would be about 9 manifestors, and there would be only 1 reflector. So the amazing thing to even look at this is to start to go like somewhere in the grand scheme, in the grand design of the universe, that this is actually the perfect ratio. When we start to learn what our gifts are, that this is actually the perfect ratio of how we can work together. So generator's gift to the community is going to be energy. If you look at the top there, again, generator types are about 80%. Whether you're a manifesting generator or you're just a generator type directly, we both have to respond equally, which is, that is our strategy, is just to respond to life. Our gift is energy though. Our gift is our passion. Our gift is our energy. If you actually look on this image over here on the left, you're actually going to see there's a red square. And if you look on your chart, everybody here is going to have the second square up from the bottom lit up and colored in red. That is your sacral center. That is your area in your body that generates an unlimited amount of energy. What that means is that your gift to the world is to share work and to share, basically the generator's gift is work and sex. That these 2 things together are the 2 base elements that are necessary in order for humanity as a whole to perpetuate, to continue on, to continue on into the future and to be more. We actually have to, first of all, be able to reproduce and to have our babies, our children, and then these children are our future, but we have to work to support them, to provide for them, and to care for them so that they can continue on and they can continue our generations and our future. And our whole gift of human design is that as the 5 types of us together, that our whole energy is in that we are looking to uplift humanity as a species, that we're actually looking to propel ourselves into further evolution, that we're moving away from being the caveman and the hunter and the gatherer, and that as we progress, we move through different timelines in history and we continue to evolve and grow and find new ways of doing things, and to actually enliven us in not just in like a materialistic realm, but also in a spiritual realm. This is really about a journey of us moving from beings who are fear-based, that we've created from the past on based on getting away from something. Well, I'm going to create a shelter because I need to get away from rain, or I'm going to create a weapon so that the bear doesn't get me, and I'm going to create fire for this, you know, and we're slowly moving away from that, and that the whole purpose of us is actually to evolve back into our spiritual essence, being more enlightened beings who are going to eventually move away from a fear-based way of life and be able to move towards actually creating our reality, creating our future, creating our civilizations based on heartfelt, based on feelings, based on what is right for us, not what we're trying to get away from. So the generator type, I really want to reiterate this, the gift is our energy. And for a lot of generators, when we hear that, it's like, oh my gosh, so what does that mean? Am I here to like be a slave? Am I here to like do work while everybody doesn't have to? And the truth is that our energy is like our bank account. Our energy is like, it is your essence. It's your beingness that you actually contribute to the evolution of humanity. But your gift, I want to say this, your gift is sacred. Your gift is extremely sacred and special to you, which means it's not meant to be just given away to everybody. It's not meant that you have to go do things you don't want to do just because your gift is that you can. You want to treat it as if it's your bank account. You want to treat it as if it's your most prized possession, which means you only give it to those and to that which lifts you up, which brings you joy, which brings you happiness. An example of that for a generator is that when you're doing something that makes you happy and lights you up, the fact is that when you're doing it, it feels like joy. It feels as if you could do it all day long and it doesn't even feel like work. And even if you hit snags and even if it's difficult while you're doing it, you're still so into the passion of the project that you're willing to move through those challenges because you really believe in it, because it means something to you, because there's a satisfaction in the feeling of what you're doing. So when you are doing things that are not in alignment for you, not based on your heart center, not from your love and your passion, there's going to be a sense of frustration. And if you think about it, how many people on the planet go to work every day at a job that doesn't light them up, doesn't bring them happiness or joy? How many people go to work every day doing a job that they do it for these reasons? They do it because, well, if I don't, how am I going to pay my rent? Well, if I don't, what are others going to think about me? Well, if I don't, you know, how am I going to feed myself tomorrow? And we're looking at it, when you think of it, that means that they're willing to trade something that's super sacred to them because of a fear, or because they're working outside of what is their truth or what is their own personal inner authority. Sometimes when we start to live our design, we realize that we've made a lot of choices in our life that aren't based on what was our truth in the first place. So sometimes it does take a little bit of shifting and changing to begin to actually let go of the old and to begin to move into the new. And that's with anything on a spiritual path or a wellness, like a self-awareness path, or anything where you are looking to actually start to create a life that resonates with you more. Sometimes there's a little bit of shift that has to be done. And so for a generator, I would ask, look at the work that you're doing. When you wake up in the morning, are you lit up about it? Is it something that impassions you? Is it something that you wake up that you can't wait to do, that you could do all day long and you'll be able to do it until the evening, and then you go to bed at night, and when you wake up in the morning, you're ready to go again? And if your answer isn't yes, I would just invite you to just, as we go through this, to just think about some of these things in here. So again, the gift is energy. We have the energy. Once you go to bed at night, it's as if there's a recharge button that when you sleep, your energy lights back up. And then when you wake up in the morning, you have a steady generator, like just like it says, you got a steady generator of energy that will last you all day long until you go to bed. When you go to bed, it will recharge again all the way. And next day, same thing, full battery, ready to go again. So the strategy is to respond. I'm going to, on a different slide, go into the strategies a little bit more. But what this means, if you look at the next line, that generators actually think they're manifestors. Generators, whether it's a manifesting generator or a generator, tends to get an idea and then they just want to make it happen. We get an idea and we don't want to wait for somebody to tell us or to wait to respond or wait for anything. So many times it's like, I got an idea, I'm ready to go, let's do it. So the problem with that is completely contrary to how we're designed. Let me tell you about strategy to respond. Responding means that when you get an idea, so we're gonna take the idea of going on a trip around the world. And we're gonna say that there's an idea that comes up to go on a trip around the world. Instead of just immediately going online and booking a ticket, the important thing is that you actually sit based on your inner authority, and we'll go over those, but based on your inner authority, we're going to have to sit back for a moment and go like, oh, isn't it interesting? I'm having this idea that I would like to go on a trip around the world. So for the sacral people, it's going to be a lot quicker. And we got, it looks like 3 sacral people on here. So Cindy, Dana, and Cody, your whole way that you're going to be responding is going to be a whole lot quicker. When you think about, hey, I want to go on a trip around the world, isn't that interesting? You want to put it out. You want to put it out to the universe. How do you do that? When you put an idea out to the universe, it could be anything from telling a family member or telling a friend. It could be that you just literally say it out to the universe. Wow, you know, I'm really getting the idea of going on a trip. I'd love to see, you know, if this is right for me. So we're putting it out there. How do we respond? Well, here's how the universe sends things back. When you say it to a friend, hey, I've been thinking about going on a trip around the world. The friend replies to you, wow, that's very interesting. Do you want to go on a trip around the world? That is it being offered back to you. I'll be really clear on that. So you put it out, it's kind of bounced back to you, and now a question is being asked of you. You're being shown something. This could be the same as if you popped on your computer and all of a sudden you saw a special deal on airline tickets. Now you're looking at a computer screen with an offer being presented to you. You're noticing it. You're hearing your friends say, hey, do you want to go on a trip around the world? You seeing the computer screen is now your opportunity to respond. It's come back to you, and now you get to look at it. How do you feel about it? Now someone's asking you, do you want to go on a trip around the world? Our sacral people are going to immediately pay attention to what is your gut telling you? What is that feeling telling you? Your body is going to be much quicker and more guttural. What that means is that you're almost going to have a like a sound. It's almost going to want to come from your throat, that it's a sound of going like like a yes, like a positive, or a like a no. Like you'll actually feel your body either shrink away or move towards it. But your job is to slow down enough to hear your response, to feel your response, and to be aware of your response. Because what happens is most of the time our mind is so programmed with beliefs and ideas and what we think is right or wrong that whether or not we get that gut feeling, we may automatically just assume, oh, but I can't because I won't have enough money. Or, oh, well, I can't because I can't, you know, leave so-and-so for this long, or who will watch the puppy? And that's the mind. That's the mind, not your strategy. So I want you to start to be really aware that what human design is offering us is a new way of actually communicating with our inner guidance and learning our own personal yes and no's about what's right for us in our life. And it's not that it's being selfish when we move towards things that are right for us. What it is that we're starting to honor our soul, our heart, and that our life, if we start to say yes to the things that actually do resonate for us, that we're just going to start to call in more and more and more and more and more of that. So you see the picture on the computer screen, and the computer screen has this whole deal of tickets. Does your body, from the sacral perspective, does it say yes? Or is it going like, oh, wow, you know, that doesn't feel right now. The strategy to respond can be instantaneous, because a lot of times when we start to get into the flow of things, the universe will bounce stuff back to us very, very quickly. So we'll have an idea to do something. A lot of times it comes with a new project or a new job, or should I move to a new house? Or maybe, you know, are we going to, you know, let grandma move in the house, or whatever these ideas are. Those are big life-changing things that actually will have larger impact in our life. When you have that idea, instead of trying to be a manifester and just being like, I'm going to make it happen, I'm logically thinking that this will be what's right. Instead of doing that, take the moment, put it out to the universe. Even if you're like, wow, this seems like a really powerful idea. Is this really right for me? And as you put that idea out into the universe, your job is then to begin to look for signs and synchronicities in your life. Your job is to start to see, how do you feel when you say that to a friend and then they reply back and they're like, wow, that would be a really good idea. I think you should buy that new home, or I think that new town would be like the perfect place for you to live. And then when you hear that, it's your job to notice, how do you respond to hearing that? Is it a positive yes, or is it actually a, oh, I don't think that's right? Because the gift in the generator is that generators thrive on being asked yes and no questions. Generators thrive on the opportunity to be asked what it is that they're getting to make a decision about. And it's being asked the question that actually allows them to kind of hear it in a new way, experience it in a new way, and then get to make the decision based on that. You get to respond to how the universe is asking you, hey, this is something that is a possibility for you. How do you feel about it? And then you get to make the choice. For Abby, Heather, LaDonna, it's a little bit of a different process. It's definitely going to be a little bit slower as far as how you make your decision, because an emotional solar plexus person is going to need to actually learn what their emotional wave is. And this is a really, really amazing gift. I'm going to go over this a little bit later in some of the inner authorities. But the emotional solar plexus is about making decisions not from the moment that you're asked it, and not from the moment that you're responding to it. So as soon as somebody asks the question, unlike the sacral person that gets to respond right away to that question, an emotional solar plexus person is best when they can actually say, wow, that sounds like an amazing idea, but I need a couple days to think about it. Or can I get back to you tomorrow? Here's why. Emotional solar plexus people are the beautiful beings on the planet that have this ability to feel the highs and the lows of the emotional waves of life. So kind of like a roller coaster, it feels really good to get super excited and feel that really vibrant high of joy, but we don't stay at the top of the roller coaster all the time. And just like there's a high in a roller coaster, there's also a low. And so sometimes that dip of the wave goes down into sadness or even grief or just despair or depression. But we also don't want to stay there very long either. The gift of it is that as a humanity, as a beings, and what our body and our emotions can express, we actually have a whole range that we can sense and feel and experience life from. And emotional solar plexus people are those people that really know those highs and those lows. And the gift of that is that a lot of those people are the ones out there writing poetry, they're writing songs, they're writing those movies, they're writing and presenting and creating things in life that like tend to touch people, that really move people, or maybe really get the emotions going when someone hears something, or someone's like, oh my gosh, it's like they're speaking right to me. It's like they can feel my soul and my heart. And those are emotional solar plexus people that can feel that wave. The thing with emotional solar plexus people, though, is that they actually really, really need to learn their wave. They need to know when it's going up and down, and then begin to learn what is the gift, especially when it's going down. Because what can happen is there can almost be an addiction to staying stuck in depression or despair, because it's as if the mind will perpetuate it. The mind will say, oh, yeah, that was a really terrible thing that happened. And then it will start to Rolodex and remind an emotional solar plexus person of all the other things just like it. And then one could get stuck down in the well. But the well is supposed to be about dipping in and grabbing some wisdom. And the wisdom is in that essence, that feeling, like what was it that kicked someone down into that low? And then get out of there. We're meant to actually find those lows and then begin to see what is necessary in order to heal them, in order to be able to actually take those limiting beliefs, those labels and those sadnesses and those triggers, those things that really tend to come from moments when like somebody says something to someone and that other person takes it wrong, and then they're like, oh my gosh, like it's like they don't even know me. And that's an emotional solar plexus thing, where an emotional solar plexus person will hear something and then create an entire story out of it. We're not here to tell the story that way anymore. Now we're here to grab the wisdom. What was it that triggered that response? Notice it. Notice that it triggered you, and then do your best to start bringing yourself back into balance, because it's almost like you're on a boat in this ocean, and your boat can go high and your boat can go low, and you can tell all kinds of stories about both of those. But the truth is you want to be able to be the director of your ocean and start to keep it at an even keel. When a generator type, the manifesting generator, has the emotional solar plexus as their inner authority, it's your job to actually take the idea. Once you've seen it, and when you respond to it, you need to take it through the entire high. Feel the idea when you're feeling really amazing and excited about it, and then sit with it a couple days through your entire wave. Feel it, feel it, feel it. And even in that depth of like a sad moment, or like when you're feeling pretty low, and even in that low moment, if that idea still feels like a good idea as you come back into your balance, then it's right for you. And it might seem like it takes a little bit longer, but it's your gift. And when you do that, you're going to find yourself in more positions where you're agreeing to things that are right for you, that work for you. Because how many times has an emotional solar plexus person gone out and somebody's like, hey, I got this really cool new idea. I'd love for you to do it with me. And what happens? That very moment feels so exciting that you're just like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it right now. Come tomorrow, that idea is not exciting anymore. And now all of a sudden, emotional solar plexus person is trying to figure out, oh my gosh, I totally committed to this. Oh, how do I get out of it? Like, what do I do? And then a couple days go by and it's just like, it's almost mortifying of going like, well, maybe if I tell them I'm sick, or maybe if I tell them something came up, I just don't want to do it. all of that can be avoided if you can just understand that it's just your type. You're meant to actually sit with things a little bit longer. It's okay to actually tell people, hey, you know what? I love the idea. I just, let me sit on it. Let me think about it. Let me sleep on it. I will promise I'll get back to you on it, and I'll let you know either way. When that happens, you begin to actually honor yourself. And then when you come to the conclusion, you've done it based on what feels right for you. So the generator types, our auras are very embracing. It means when you're out in the world that there's such an energy that comes from your field that people really resonate towards it. When you are living your design, your energy becomes super yummy. It becomes super like just attractive in the sense that people are excited. They want to hear what you're up to. What are you doing? What's going on? You know, what are you creating? This is amazing. And so it's just a special thing to know that your gift is very, very special. That even though the gift of energy, the gift of work sounds like, oh man, it's actually very sacred and very special. And when you can see that you've got the energy to do whatever you're impassioned about, that is actually very special. And just to be able for yourself to honor it. Again, when you're not doing things that are resonating for your soul, you may feel frustrated. And if that frustrated feeling comes up, just know, oh, I need to stop for a minute and just say, hey, what am I doing right now that I'm not doing based on my type, my strategy, and my authority? What am I doing right now that didn't actually really, like, I didn't honor how I entered the agreement? And when you are doing things that are right for you, kind of like we talked about, when you do a project that you're so excited about, there's a sense of satisfaction in doing it. So the self theme, when you're actually acting from your type, is satisfaction. It feels really good. You feel super excited. You feel very happy to share what you've done with others. There's two differences between the generators. So between our little group here, there are two differences between the generator and the manifesting generator. Generator types have more of a tendency to be the master or the expert in whatever it is that they're doing. So a generator type a lot of times has this feeling that it's taken them a little bit to get going on something. And sometimes to the outside world, it may seem to others that a generator is a little bit slower or takes a little longer to get started. The reason for this is because a generator needs to make sure, first of all, that what they're agreeing to is right for them, because once they agree, they really do commit themselves to what they're doing. They are in it for the long haul when they're doing it. And so also in that same sense that once they get going on something, it actually takes a little bit of effort for them, and they need time. If you see the next one, it needs time to change direction. It's not something that is just going to change super easily. A generator in general will have what one calls plateaus in life. And these are one of the most important things for you to know as a generator, that you might hit what feels like a plateau in your life. So you may be going on whatever it is that you do for work or whatever project that you're doing, and all of a sudden it might feel like it's been, like it took off and it was doing really good, and then all of a sudden it hits this flat line. Like all of a sudden it's like nothing's moving. It almost feels like it just dead stops sometimes. And it's more of a feeling. It's not so much that the work or the project will stop, but sometimes it'll just feel like the energy that was there, like it's like not growing anymore, or what do I do with this? It feels as though it's not working. I want you just to know that in those moments, your only ask or job in order to just really honor that moment is to be with it, to sit, to wait with it. Because the plateau is actually as if you've hit kind of a resting place. And as long as you keep doing things that make you happy, whether it's reading books, whether it's watching movies, whether it's taking classes, whether it's talking with friends that really enliven and stimulate you, keep doing the things that really mean something to you in that plateau. Because what happens is it's actually your time to regather resources. It's not a dead end, and it's not a stall out in whatever you're doing. It's actually a time where you're supposed to be recharging. It's a time where you're supposed to be actually kind of collecting new resources and new data, and almost like charging like the rockets in your ship. Because what happens is, as long as you stick with it, your plateau is actually going to take off again, and it's as if you're going to start rocketing up towards your next level. And inevitably you'll hit another plateau. And as long as you know what that is and you honor it, that plateau too will also be another place you generate more energy before you rocket off again. I really want to like share this with you, because the truth is that generator after generator, not knowing what this is, has felt as though whatever they were doing was broken, it wasn't working. And they will actually scratch an entire idea. There's so many generators that they'll start a business and then it feels like it hits this plateau, and then the next thing they know, they're like, it didn't work, I better try this, and they'll go start another, and then they'll start another, and then every time it's going, and then it hits a plateau, and then they get frustrated because it's like it feels like nothing ever works in their life. It's because those plateaus are not places to give up. And I just want to share with you that those are your gift. And when you can see them as a gift, see them as a time to rest, see them as a time to maybe go for more walks or do more things or meditate more, be more with yourself, that as long as you honor it and you know, okay, I'm just on a plateau, it will eventually hit a whole new level of energy and you'll keep going. And that's just one of the number one things to share with generators, because that's probably one of the top frustrations for a generator. Manifesting generators are a little bit different. Manifesting generators are called manifesting generators because they also have a throat center activated. So they also feel as though they are a manifester. But because they're a generator, they'll always have to still respond. They'll always have to still wait before they make the decision, which can be extremely frustrating for a manifesting generator. So I think we got one other, Cody. All right, so manifesting generators are the type of people that are meant to multitask. Unlike a generator, a manifesting generator is going to look like the rabbit versus the tortoise. It's gonna be like as if all of a sudden you give a manifesting generator a project and they're gonna be like, I got it, and off they go, and they're just like busy and they're starting it, and they took the directions and they threw them out and they're like, no, I got this, I'll figure it out. And a manifesting generator will get going. And the thing about a manifesting generator is they look like a savant at first with every project that they do, because people will be like, wow, that's so amazing, I didn't know you knew how to do this. And the manifesting generator will be like, neither did I, this is awesome. So as the manifesting generator gets going, they have an ability to tap into things because they also have that manifestor center activated with a motor, which means they're totally downloading ideas and inspirations, and they feel they really see it. Unfortunately, they do miss a lot of things. So manifesting generators are the type that will get halfway through a project and then they'll be like, ah, shoot. And they'll realize they forgot a really vital step all the way back at the beginning of the project, and they may have to tear apart the entire project just to put that little piece back in and then rebuild the whole thing again. So in the truth, if a generator and a manifesting generator started a project at the same time, it's going to look like the manifesting generator is going to kick butt and like really get it done. And the generator might look like they're taking a little more time reading the directions and like, okay, let me just figure out what I'm doing. And the manifesting generator's like, no, I got this, man. And they're like, whew. Well, generator's just going to go kind of at the pace, and they're going to get it done, and they're really going to figure it out, and they're going to know their details. And the manifesting generator, after having to redo things a couple times, They both end up finishing at the very same time. Again, we all have our gifts. Here's the gift for the manifesting generator. Your gift is to actually find the shortcuts and the new ways of doing things. Because in your racing through things and you're doing things, you're actually taking all the knowledge of every other project you've ever done since you were born. And you're going like, oh, wow, what if I did it like this? Or what if I did it like this? And maybe you might be taking inspiration from building a home or baking in a kitchen, or the last time you had to, you know, put on a theater production. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You actually will pull from everything you've ever been a part of and somehow correlate the tools in there for new ways of doing things. A lot of times you'll always get the projects done. You'll always do them as far as, like, if you put your mind to get something done, you'll do it. But the good thing to know is that whether or not you have to start over and do things, there's going to be those moments when you find the new perfect way to do something. You'll be like, oh my gosh, if you try it like this, look, it actually makes the edges cleaner and it saves more time. And a manifesting generator, their whole point is to come into systems that are already operating and to move through them, figure them out, and actually see if there's new improved ways that humanity can accelerate itself, can clean things up, can do things differently. A manifesting generator is going to be the type that may start reading 8 different books and never finish any of them. They'll all be right by the side of their bed, and they may only read up to chapter 5 in most of them and then put them aside and never finish them again. And to the rest of the world, they're looking at a manifesting generator going like, what the heck is wrong with you? Why can't you just pick something? Why don't you just pick one thing and do it? Why'd you start another business? You already have one and that one's not even doing anything. And so manifesting generators' frustration a lot of times is taking all the things they're passionate about and trying to squeeze them into one business idea. It's not your design. Your gift to humanity is to actually be you. Your gift in humanity is to try lots of different things, take lots of different classes, do whatever different things you love. Generator types can be the masters and the experts at what they do. Manifesting generators in general tend to be more the jack of all trades. It doesn't mean they can't get really good at what they do, but they tend to be involved in so many things. They love so many things that they're less likely to take one thing and just really take it to expert level, to like professor level. And it's just to know that is the gift. Generators have an energy of really keeping things in line and order and moving and having that focused energy in there. Manifesting generators have a lot of like quick energy, almost kind of like you want to tell them to slow down a little bit. And it's okay. Their gift is to find the shortcuts in life. I just want to pause for a moment. Is there any questions from anybody so far? We doing good? Okay, perfect. All right. So that's 70% of our village we just talked about. We don't have any projectors on our call, but I'm sure all of us know projectors in our life. Projectors are about 20% of the people in the town. Projectors are people who, when you actually meet them, they're very charismatic. They are actually quite talkative when you're with them, and they seem to have a lot of ideas and a lot of opinions a lot of times. Their gift is actually in wisdom, it's in mentoring, it's in giving advice. They don't have a sustainable motor like a generator, which means they're not meant to do the work. And what I mean by that is it doesn't mean they don't have to have a job and that we're supposed to just take care of them. What it means is they're not really meant to do like a physical 9-to-5 job. They would best excel in humanity is taking more like mentorship roles, maybe counselors or people who give advice of any kind in any kind of business, whatever their passion is, it doesn't really matter. Projectors have a different kind of aura field to them. When you're with them, they like a generator's energy kind of goes outward and circulates. A projector's energy goes out, but what they do is they more tune into a person one-on-one. So when a projector is with you, they actually have ability to tap right into your identity center. They have a kind of an ability to tap right into what it is that lights your soul up. And from there, they really almost intuitively get a download of exactly the best way for something to be. So whether it's a business project, whether it's you're talking to your friend about a relationship thing or a family thing, or whether or not it's about how you should lay out your garden next summer, it doesn't really matter. The whole idea is that a projector has the ability, say you're planting a garden, and the projector will come in and they'll be like, oh, wow. Yeah, I see the plants that you've got here. You know, if you put this one there and this one there, you know, that way it'll always have the sunshine it needs, and this one will actually have the shade after 3 p.m. And it's, you're sitting there looking at them like, how do you know this? Well, it's just their gift. They actually, when you honor a projector for who they truly are, they are one of our greatest assets. They are the person that we can take that really fun, exciting project that we're working on, and highly recommend manifesting generators to utilize the projectors too, and to ask them, be like, hey, wow, this is a project I'm doing. Would you be willing to, like, if I could share with you a little bit about this project and you could tell me what you think? You're honoring the projector because you've just given them an invitation. Projectors of all the people feel the most frustrated sometimes because they think that they kind of got the short end of the stick on their strategy to make a yes or no for things in their life, because their strategy is to wait for the invitation. And that sounds horrible, doesn't it? But the truth of it is that a projector's energy is actually super magnetic. The way that their energy is that whether or not others know who they are, they tend to get lots of invitations. They'll be the person that people will just call up and be like, hey, we got a party, do you want to come? Or, hey, we're starting this new thing, do you want to join us? And they'll tend to get tons of invitations. So the thing for a projector to know is that they don't have to say yes to everything. They too have to respond according to their proper inner authority. Whether it's emotional solar plexus, it won't be sacral for them, but it could be identity center, it could be splenic. They could have a whole other way that they're supposed to respond to things. And projectors tend to need the gift of knowing that not everybody has to be their people, because projectors have wisdom. And here's how you can sometimes spot a projector. A projector, when they don't know their gift and they don't know how to use their strategy and inner authority, tend to walk into a situation, or somebody will start talking to them, and they'll be the ones that'll be telling everybody their opinion about how things would be. And if you listen to me, it would just be better. And the projector will be that one person that if they're not acting from their right strategy, that they just are constantly talking. They're the ones that are like, man, I had an idea for somebody. I went right up to the business owner and I told him if he just did this, this, and this, it would have been better. And nope, he never called me back. And the problem with that is that's a projector trying to act like a manifester. That's a projector trying to make things happen in life. And unfortunately, projectors' wisdom, just like the generator's wisdom, is their honeypot of their energy, of their work. The projector's energy and their gold, their precious energy, is their wisdom, what they share with other people. And so in essence, the gift for the projector is to learn to not say anything, to learn to wait for the invitation, to learn to actually, when they hear all these things around them, to go like, you know, I only have to share my wisdom first of all, it's kind of like the idea of their people, that they get to choose who they accept the invitation for, and then that's their people that they offer their wisdom and advice for. So they need to realize that they're not manifestors. They have a very focused energy that's very magnetic to other people. If they feel as though they're not working in their strategy and authority, they can tend to have an idea of or an energy of bitterness. But when they are working in it, any projects that they do really feel like a success. They really feel amazing. So projectors are such a gift, and they can feel really frustrated at times, but if we can honor them and they can honor their gifts, we actually work super harmoniously together, getting the wisdom and the ideas and new advice on how to do things. Projectors' other gift is that they actually, a lot of people may think they seem lazy, because if they go out in a lot of people, because they're absorbing people's energy, they actually will take on their energy, and it really weighs them down. It really like kind of zaps them. So when they get home, they'll feel almost like wired with everybody else's energy, like they can't sleep, but it's also very draining on their own energy field. So the number one thing I tell a projector to do is to go outside, ground out in the earth, get away from everybody, get 20 feet away from everybody for a little bit, hug a tree, do something, stick your fingers in some dirt for a minute. Just intentionally know that you are taking on other people's energy and let it out of your body. The second thing I like projectors to know is that their gift to humanity, actually, the majority of what they came here to do is during dream time. So their sleep is very important to them. If you have a projector child, to actually remember that you need to put them to bed before they get tired. So they do really good with the routine and when bedtime is. Because once they've gotten tired, it's almost too late. It's almost too far. They do a lot of work while they're sleeping, cleaning up the planet, healing the planet, doing all kinds of things within the dreamscape that is very important, that they couldn't do otherwise unless they had a physical form here. So that's our 20%. We've been talking about manifestors quite a bit, in the sense that we all want to be one, but none of us are. So manifestors are less than 10% of the planet. These are what I call our idea seed planters. They seem to have just this download of really fast energy that comes into the planet, it comes into their mind, and it's all these ideas and inspirations, and they are the only type that's meant to just do it. What that means is that whenever they get an idea to do something, if they feel like doing a project, if they feel like doing something, go for it, start it up, do it. They don't have a sustainable motor though. So if you know a manifestor, they're gonna seem a little bit like a cheetah. I call them the cheetah type, because it's like they'll get going on a project, and once they get going on a project, they'll seem really good, or especially if they're like running or something like that. It's like they'll take off and they'll be so fast, and then it's almost just like, oh, okay. It's almost like there's just this moment where poof, the gas went out. And it's just they don't have a sustainable motor, and it's perfect. They thrive with a lot of alone time. They thrive with having almost like their own like workshop in place where they get to like create and do and be and get all of these projects going. And then their strategy is to inform. And it sounds really simple, but it's probably one of the most difficult things for a manifestor to do, because their mind is going so fast. And manifesting generators can get this essence a little bit too, but the mind is going so fast and all these ideas are coming, that when they have to think about telling somebody else about the steps or what it is they're doing, it's almost like maddening to them, because they're like, well, how many steps back do I have to go to try to even explain this to you? You know, it's like super frustrating to them to try to like take an idea they had that really came from the universe and try to backtrack enough to try to explain the details. The problem is that's their job. That's their gift to humanity. Is they're meant to get these ideas and then they're meant to share them. So that's, unfortunately, that's, you know, their challenge in life, but also their gift that they get to learn. What this means is that when they go out, say a manifestor goes to a party, just to describe their energy, they are the only type that has not a magnetic, it's more of a pushing energy. What that means is when they come into your energy, your aura, your field, you're almost going to feel more of a pressure on them. They're the type of person that if you share an idea with them, it is going to feel almost like it hits a wall. Even if they're receptive to it, it's just the way their energy is, because they're the type that wants to be the ones that came up with the ideas. It's just the way their energy flows. So their energy will push. And what that means is that if you're uncomfortable in your own energy, you may feel pressured or intruded upon in some way. So manifestors will go to a party and they're extremely fun, they're extremely loving, they're extremely charismatic, especially manifestor children are so loving. And then you'll watch them with their friends, and after a little bit of time, it just seems like they hit a wall, and all their friends are all of a sudden mad at them. And the poor manifestor will just be like, I don't know, like, I don't know why nobody likes me. And then they'll feel like I quit, and then will want to walk away. Well, what it is just, it's like, it's just the way their energy is. It's their design. They're designed to go out. They're extremely charismatic and fun to be around and happy. And then once they go out, they're meant to share the ideas. And once they're done sharing the ideas, they're actually meant to get the heck back out. They're meant to actually go. I can get to you later. Got somebody over here dancing. I tattled. Awesome. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm getting chatted with. Just one moment. I probably got another hour. I'll see you soon. Sorry about that. So manifestors, they have such a charismatic energy, and they have such like a charisma to them. You'll love them. You love them. They want to hang out with them, and they'll have a whole crowd. They can be very popular. Unfortunately, their energy is such that they really need to get into the party, download all of their ideas really quick. Who are they downloading to? They're downloading to you. They're downloading to the generators. The generators get to hear it and then get to respond. They get to hear the ideas and go like, holy crap, that sounds like a really good idea. Like emotional solar plexus gets to go, hey, wow, that sounds amazing. Let me get back to you tomorrow on that, or I'd love to have a meeting with you next week about that. Sacral people get to have it responded back to them, and then they get to have that guttural response. Is that a yes or is that a no? How super exciting. Projectors are going to be there, and are they getting invited in? It's like, oh my gosh, you have such an amazing skill at this. Would you be willing in helping with this project? That's how the manifestor is gifting the whole society. Is they go out, they get these cool ideas, they pass them out, and then we are all meant to create together. We're all meant to take these ideas, and if they're ideas that help accelerate us, let's do it. Let's go. Let's see how this will be such a benefit to all of us. So the manifestor, unfortunately, their theme is anger. And they do tend to it. So if you have a manifestor child, you will generally know they'll probably be the most frustrating child that you've had, because you just don't know what to do. You just don't understand. And then once you realize you have a manifestor child, you're like, oh, okay. You just have to communicate with them totally differently. They need to be brought into things almost like an adult, and asked their opinion on things. And you actually get to start to teach them. On how to make decisions, how to do things in a whole way where they get to make choices, but based on choices that are all pretty much the right answer. You manifestor children, unfortunately, and into adulthood, if they haven't totally cleared it up yet, tend to snap on a dime. It's like once things don't go well for them, they'll flip to anger. They'll flip to just being super, like almost losing it, almost like a tantrum. And then it takes a bit. And again, it's a lot of communication. There's their way their charts are is incredibly compassionate. They're very empathic, but they're so quick in the mind that it's almost a disconnect and a confusion, and this world gets so frustrating for them that it's almost like it snaps and then they lose it. And when we know that about a manifestor, we can actually be there for them and help them and nurture them and support them in learning how their skills, teach them how to inform, teach them how to share with people the best way, you know, to share their ideas, and so it doesn't feel so frustrating. And then when they are working with their self-theme, then they feel at peace. They actually feel really good about everything. And our last type is going to be our reflector. I love talking about reflectors because, first of all, you got to imagine that in our town there's only one. There's only one reflector, so we can realize that they're super special, and that in the universal design, for some reason, only one was necessary, and within a group of about 100. And here's why. Reflector's gift to the community is literally just to be a mirror. That's it. And what does that mean for us? It means that if a reflector's in our community, if a reflector's in our home, if a reflector is at our work, if a reflector is in a project or a thing that we're involved with, and that reflector is happy and jovial and just laughing and having a good time, then that means that the health and vitality of whatever it is that you're a part of, be it a relationship, work, project, whatever, it means that that is vital and happy. A reflector is going to, it's as if their energy goes out and circles around absolutely everything in the environment. So it'll walk through the town and feel it. And as it feels it, their mood is literally a mirror of what's going on around them. So if they're happy, it means that the vitality, the health, the inspiration of the town is doing great. If a reflector starts to get really grumpy or emotional or something's going on, well, of course, our first response is going to be like, what's your problem? Like, what's wrong with you? But if we know this is a reflector in our life, we can actually look at them and go like, wow, what was it that you were just noticing? What were you just thinking about? What were you just paying attention to? And then we can find out where that energy is coming from, that they're mirroring that something's not healthy. Their nickname within the human design system is the canary in the coal mine, which means that they're kind of like the one that you can take and put down and put into a situation and see how they're doing. And if they're happy, that means things are good. And if they're not, then it's like, ooh, okay, we better change some things. Reflectors have to love their environment that they're in. And they're also a type that needs to remember they're not manifestors. And they can just really get a sense of disappointment when things around them just aren't in harmony or having a vital energy flow. For us, it's just good to know that a reflector is reflecting to us what it is that's either happening within us or around us. So if you get the gift of knowing a reflector, they can be some of the most intuitive people that you've ever met. They can be some of the most just fun and out there people because they really get lit up about their environment. They also can be very emotional because they're also feeling everything around them. And most importantly for a reflector is their home environment, because they are so open in their chart. If you look at the chart here, they have no defined centers, which means that they're taking in the entire world around them and they don't have any anchored set sense of self. So their home is their base ground. Their home is their grounding. Their home is their place that they go into where they take a breath and create their sense of security and identity from. They tend to make a very loving, wonderful, special home, and the people around them are very important to them because they anchor them. So those are the important things to know about a reflector. And then they make the rest of us feel like our strategy is awesome because their strategy is to wait an entire lunar cycle, 28 days, to make a decision. So we can all just think of reflectors if we ever have a problem for waiting on an emotional wave and just be like, well, it's not that bad. So I just want to touch a little bit on this and just go ahead as I go at this point. Just let me know if you have any questions or anything. You can just unmute and ask me and we'll go from there. Otherwise, I'll just keep rolling. So we talked a little bit about the emotional solar plexus, inner authority, and we talked a little bit about the sacral inner authority. But as you can see, there's multiple inner authorities that we have here. And these inner authorities are for how people make decisions. I'm just going to touch on the others lightly since we only have emotional solar plexus and sacral people on the call. But if somebody happened to be a splenic emotional inner authority, the splenic center is that brown triangle, or it may be clear on your chart, that's over on the very far left-hand side. And its whole pulse for a person with a splenic authority is going to be instincts. And the thing for a splenic person to know is that it's going to be like an instant instinct, like as if you have the impulse or the instinct to like grab somebody because they're about to fall or to do something. It's that fast for them. It's like almost an intuitive, instinctual like leap for it. Just like the sacral people, I want to say this again for the sacral people, your pulse is going to come. Luckily for you with the sacral inner authority, you can just have somebody ask the question again or ask it again or ask the universe to give you something to respond to again. So you get multiple chances with it. A splenic person has one chance. Once that instinct pops through, it's as if the body gave it to them and that's it. They're like, either you heard it or you didn't. And so the job for the splenic person is actually to get really good at paying attention to it and then go ahead and act on that initial impulse. I want to say this again, it's the initial impulse. So whether you're emotional solar plexus person, you're a sacral person, or any of these on this chart, our mind is our greatest enemy within this reality when it is out of control. Our mind is meant to be our gift. Our mind is meant to be a tool. Our mind is meant to be in service to us and the things that we're doing. Unfortunately, our mind is riddled with programs. It's riddled with labels. It's riddled with beliefs. It's riddled with anything that we've ever seen, heard, thought, or watched in the past. Your mind is like a database. And any new situation that you go into, your mind is actually assessing the situation, and within the smallest instance, it's actually Rolodexing through every experience you've ever been through, every movie you've ever watched, every song you ever heard, every story your friends have ever told you, everything you've ever experienced in any way, shape, or form in this reality. It Rolodexes instantly through all of that, and it goes, oh, that's like this, and this. And it grabs those resources and it drops it into your current situation and goes, this is how you should respond. It's only giving you how to deal with a situation based on the past, number one, and number two, based on whatever fears, insecurities, beliefs, or worries you may have. Because your number one job of your subconscious mind, the very first program within your subconscious mind, is actually to keep you away from pain or danger. And that does not differentiate whether it's emotional pain, mental pain, spiritual pain, physical pain. As far as your subconscious mind goes, pain is pain. And if, you know, relationships hurt you, relationships have always hurt you, then by golly, we're going to stay away from those. And this looks like it might be a relationship, so and it's that simple how it works. So our job Our job is to realize that when our mind gets anxiety or worry, that it's really just trying to figure things out, that it hasn't quite put a finger on it. And that our job is to realize our very first inner authority impulse. When you can start to really hear that sacral yes or no, or that emotional solar plexus, feel the wave and go like, yes, it still feels right. Then when the mind comes in and tries to be like, yeah, but you can't really do it because, you remember the last time you tried that and things like that just don't work for you. Or, well, yeah, that would be cool, except girls don't do those kinds of things. Or, yeah, that would be great, but oh my gosh, what would my family think about me? Or, oh my gosh, that's not the Christian thing to do. Or, oh my gosh, that's just not the thing and a million things could come into our mind that are based on ideas. It's based on belief systems. It's based on blocks. It's based on our own internal fears. And our job is to get rid of those. That's what this whole thing is about us learning how to honor who we are and what our truth is. And that anytime something comes up that's not our truth, something comes up that says anything to the effect that, oh, well, I can't because nobody will like me, or I'm not lovable, or, well, if I don't take this job, then people won't think I don't know what I'm doing, or any of these other ideas that when you hear them now, you might go like, well, of course, those sound terrible. But we do it every day, and we've done it how many times in our life? Have we made choices based on something that we wanted to prove or that we didn't want to happen, or fear, or based on an insecurity, and now we're stuck in situations that we're like, oh my gosh. And I can bet almost everybody on this call has one relationship they can think of in that. So the whole idea is that when we start to honor our own inner authority, when we start to go like, okay, I'm a generator, I'm not meant to just do it, I'm meant to wait to respond. Awesome. Great. So here's an idea. I could do it if I want to. How does it feel for me? Take it through the emotional wave. Have somebody ask it to you. Start to look at images. Start to watch movies about it. Start to research it on the internet. How do you feel every time something comes and pops up on the screen about it, or somebody talks about it? How does that feel as far as a possibility for you? It's okay for us to start to do the things that make us happy. It's okay for us to actually start to create a life that brings us joy. Because what happens when we start to resonate with happiness and resonate with joy? All the fears, all the stuff just falls away. When that happens, you shine brighter. When that happens, people start to come up to you. What's going on in your life? What are you doing? Wow, how did you do that? Now you're getting invited. Now you're being asked. Now people are coming to you. And what do you get to do? If you choose, if it resonates for you, you maybe get to share a smile, share some wisdom, share an idea of maybe something they could try, some way that in this reality where we are, that we can help any other person on this planet begin to get rid of fear. That if we really narrowed it down, that we are on a path of becoming who we are and loving who we truly are, and turning down the knob of fear. That fear, if we really think of it, is really at the root of all that has created discord and disharmony on this planet. And what if we could start to be the ones to unlock the fear within us in order to be more? And then what if we were more, and by being more, somebody else said, that looks amazing. I want that. How'd you do that? And you could just be like, I did it by just learning how to be me. And in that, human design offers us just one tool, and it's one tool out of many. This is just one offer, one perspective, that you could acknowledge what your part is as your gift, that you could realize, hey, I have the gift of energy. I have the gift to create. I only have to create what brings me joy and happiness, though. That's all. Manifesting generators get to know that it's okay to create many different things that bring them joy and happiness. And whether or not they finish them, it doesn't matter, because they grow and expand and learn from all of them. And then they have that to offer as a gift. And then you know that as your inner authority, that you have your own special way of listening to your own inner voice. It's almost as if you get your own key that unlocks the door of how you can hear your own higher self or inner spirit. Sacral, super awesome. All you gotta do is listen to your body. Yeah or no. Funnest place to start playing with the sacral yes and no is with food. When somebody offers you food, hey, do you want to eat Chinese food tonight, or would you rather have Mexican food? And you're going to listen to your body. When I ask you that, which one did your body resonate towards? Or maybe it just said, I don't want food at all. And that's okay, because now you're listening to it. Emotional solar plexus people, you do have a little bit more of a challenge in that your job is to actually learn your wave. Learn your wave, own your wave, heal your wave, balance your wave, and then learn to take everything through it. And that when you can actually balance your wave, you can actually get it down to minutes. That if it ever dips down, you can literally clear things in minutes, in seconds if you really chose to, but in minutes. We'll give you minutes. And then once you clear it, you're ready to be back in that balance, and you've already gathered the wisdom, and off you go. You can ride it all the way through and then move with it. Many of the other types, just going down, nobody else here are these types, but the heart, the G center, and the environment, which is mental. These types of people, mostly projectors, some of them are manifestors as well. They need to actually hear themselves say the idea out loud, and they need somebody within their reality who's going to honor that all they need to do is hear it and say nothing. All they really need to do is hear themselves say it out loud to another person, and they instantly go, oh, wait, no, never mind. I got it. I know exactly what I need to do. And that's just their way of hearing it. That's just their way of hearing their inner voice, is they just have to have someone in their reality that honors that they just need to be a good listener for them so they can hear themselves say it. And again, the reflector, a lunar cycle, because a reflector is actually at some point during the month every type. So I just want to talk a little bit about the centers. If you just look at your chart there, you're going to see that you have a chart that looks like this, but it's colored in. Try that again for her. You have, however your chart is colored in. So all of you are going to have the second from the top, which is the sacral center. Emotional solar plexus people are obviously going to have the one on the right. And you may have a variety of all of these others on there, but I just want to go through them. These ones are more in alignment with what we would call our chakra center. So starting at the top is the head or the crown. And I'll just go through each one just so you have a briefing of them. The head or the crown really has to do with ideas and inspirations. It's basically one of the pressure centers. So you have the pressure center of the head, the crown, and then at the very, very, very bottom, it's that square. If yours is colored in, it's red. It's called the root center. Those are the two pressure centers on your chart. So if they're open on your chart, you're going to probably feel a lot more ideas and inspirations and pressures from your environment around you. If they're colored in, you're going to actually be defined. So let me actually go on to the next screen so we can really get into this. When you look at your chart, again, some of them are going to look colored in and some of them are going to be open. I want to, as I go through this, I'm going to overemphasize what it means if your centers are open, okay? Because in human design, even though there's a lot of things I've been sharing with you, there's really 3 basic things that you need to know. And if you could honor these 3 things, all the rest of your chart would fall into place perfectly, and you don't even need to know the rest of it. Because you could honestly study the system for the rest of your life and keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into it. There's so many intricacies and layers to it. The only 3 things you really need to know is your type, So you know that each of you are either generator or manifesting generator. You need to know your strategy and your authority, which again is your meant to respond. And how you respond is either going to be through your emotional solar plexus or your sacral center. So now each of you know your type and how to use your strategy and authority. The third thing that I would say that would really gift you in this path is to know your open centers. So as you look on your chart, I want you just to notice your open centers. Here's why. Your open centers are the places within your chart where you can indefinitely take in the energy around you from your environment. I'll try to say that again in another way. Your open centers are the place where you will actually absorb other people's energy within your whatever groups you're in the middle of, whichever places you are, whether it's your family, whenever you go to work, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's within like a dynamic experience. Any place you have an open center, it's where you're going to be inundated by the energy from outside of you. But here's the thing, you pull it in and then you amplify it. I'll give you some examples of that. So let's take, for instance, on the bottom right-hand corner, which is the emotional solar plexus. It's the one that has the gates 6, 37, 22, 49, 55, and 30 here on the bottom. The emotional solar plexus is one of the centers. It trumps every other center, which means that if it is the inner authority of a person, or if it's activated, it is automatically the inner authority of that person. It's that powerful. If you have, so just a raise of hands in the group, is there anybody here that doesn't have that colored in? The emotional solar plexus. Okay. Up. So we got 1, 2. If your emotional solar plexus is not defined, you are more likely to be influenced by the emotional waves of other people around you. What that means, and let me give an example as a child. As a child, people with open emotional solar plexus systems tend to be the type of children that are the people pleasers in the family. And here's why. It means that when they are starting to feel the wave of another person in the family, it's overwhelming for them. So if you have an emotional solar plexus, then you already know what your wave is like. And it's just a part of who you are, and you go up and you go down, and it just is what it is. And it's no big deal. It's like your world. But to the person with an undefined emotional solar plexus system, it's like they're getting hit with it like on times 100. And all of a sudden they're feeling all of this rush of emotions that aren't even theirs, and they're overwhelmed by them. And if mom or dad is having a bad day, this little kid is like panicking. They're like, oh my God, I need to do anything I can to get mom or dad to feel better, because if they feel better, then it takes the pressure away from them. It takes the emotions away from them, and the overwhelm, because it's just the defense system in order to try to take all of that makes no sense to them, because they're feeling it even more. So when you have an undefined center, it is more likely for you to be your not self in that center. When you have an undefined center, it is a place where you are more likely to act outside of your truth and outside of who you really are. I really want to emphasize that. When you have a defined center, so any of the ones that are colored in, those are places where you're pretty steady. You have a steady rhythm, a steady energy, a steady frequency that you send out to the world from there. It doesn't mean you don't have potential places that you're holding not self or negative beliefs in. But what it means is you have more of a set place, an energy of which you have set yourself. Okay. Undefined means that when you get in a group or around other people, and you pick up the energy from their defined center with your open center, boom, it is if it comes into you, and all of a sudden you may feel a totally different way. You could feel completely at peace and all happy driving to a party, and the minute you get to a party, it's like as if you feel totally different. You could feel all of a sudden anxious or depressed, or an overwhelming like sense that you need to do something. You may feel all of these things like just automatically taking you once you get into a group of people. You could be going to work one day and you get into work, and then all of a sudden it's like your mood changes the minute you walk through the door, and you're like, oh my gosh, what was that? As we go through these open centers, you can realize, oh, that's not me. It's probably the number one biggest relief that you can have with a human design is to, when you learn your open centers, you can realize that if you're taking in others people's energy within those places, that if you can allow yourself to go, oh, that's not even mine. One, it starts to alleviate all the pressure from you. Two, you get to start to honor who you truly are. How do you do that? First of all, you have to have the opportunity of alone time. You have to have the opportunity to have meditative space or be by yourself for a while. Know what it's like to be you. Know what it feels like to be within your own energy field without anybody else around it. No kids, no partners, no family members, no coworkers, no nothing. Know what it feels like to be you. Just enough so that you know what your base is, know who you are. This way, when you get within a co-creative environment, be it with a partner, be it with your children, be it at work, it doesn't matter. When you get in that environment, you already know who you are and what you feel like. So if something feels different, you can immediately go, oh, I'm totally picking up somebody else's energy. Isn't that interesting? It could be the hugest gift ever, because if you are picking up somebody else's energy, you have the ability to relate to them. You have the ability to understand them on a deeper level. You could use it as an intuitive ability or as a skill to really assist them in a whole other way. So it's good, one, to know the flip side of things, but at the same time, your most important thing right now is to remember who you are, to remember your truth and what you are. So we're gonna go through them. I'm gonna be on this other page over here. I'm gonna flip back and forth. So the head center is the one at the very top, the yellow triangle at the very top with 64, 61, 63. These are, again, this is a pressure center. It's your center that is actually downloading ideas and inspirations from the universe. It's downloading those images and those frequencies and those sounds and those geometries from the universe that don't really make sense in human language yet. Because the universe is talking to us in feelings, in metaphors and expressions and in ideas. And then it all comes into this head center and has to, if you look at the gates at the top are 64, 61, 63. These are the gates of confusion, mystery, and doubt. So all of the ideas and inspirations from the universe are coming in, and somehow they got to funnel through this pressure center. Their soul's coming in. It's got to funnel through this pressure center and somehow squeeze through gates of confusion, mystery, and doubt and make its way to our ajna, which is our mind. If your head center is open, your number one question you need to ask is, are these ideas even mine? If you go out into a group of people, especially a group of friends, and you guys are talking and they're like talking about new business ideas or a new road trip everybody wants to go on, all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, that's such a good idea. You'll feel completely enlivened by all of these ideas and inspirations. And your number one job is to stop and go like, oh, I have an open head center. Are these ideas even mine? And am I trying to ask everybody else's questions? If your head center's defined, it means that you have a set way of actually communicating with the universe. You have a set way in which you receive information. You have a set way in which you kind of get ideas and inspirations. And the really cool thing about that is that when you go out into a group, you're less likely to get swayed or pulled by other people's ideas. If someone else's idea is awesome, you're going to go for it based on your type, strategy, and authority, not based on the feeling that it's this pressure coming into you and now you need to figure out how to make it happen. So if your head center is open, just please be aware that it's a pressure center. So it'll create a pressure to like hurry up and try to figure out how to make these things into reality. Ideas and inspirations want to come into our physical form. And so they come into the head center and they make their way down into that green triangle, which is the Ajna center, which means the mind. The mind is meant to be, again, a tool, a vehicle, a gift for us to take ideas and inspirations and begin to formulate them, rationalize them, and create them into a realized form that we can actually start to begin to share with other people. Our head center gets the ideas in. The Ajna starts to turn them into something we can share with people. What is that? Something shareable is a painting, is a poem, it's a song, it's words, it's a sentence, it's a story, it's an act, a skit, a play. It doesn't matter. It's just some way that I can take an idea and that I can turn it around and somehow share it with you. That's all it is. And so if your Ajna center is open, number one, there can be an anxiety or an energy of feeling as though you have almost an anxiousness to know whether or not you can trust yourself, know whether or not, do I actually have the answers? Like, oh my gosh, this feels right, but is it right? Can I really say this out loud? Can I really tell other people about this? There's almost a mental anxiety that builds up in the mind center if it's open. And so your question to ask yourself are these thoughts mine? Number one. And number two, am I trying to actually convince other people that I'm certain? Again, that anxiousness comes from feeling uncertain about whether or not the idea is something we can trust or follow, because it's an open center, which means you have an infinite way of figuring things out with your mind if your center's open. If it's colored in, you have more of a certainty to you when you speak about things. You also have more of a defined way in which you process problems, thoughts, or things that come into your reality. You tend to have more of a pattern or a way that you deal with things. So again, with the Ajna, are these thoughts even mine, and what am I needing to be certain about? If you look down to the next one down, this one's going to correlate more with the throat center. So this throat center is all about manifestation. This one is the only manifestation center in the entire chart. And if you look at the chart, there's an energy of the chart that everything in the chart is actually trying to get to the throat center. Because in order for anything outside of physical form to be made manifest, it has to somehow make its way down and into a shareable form. You actually make an idea from the universe reality when you manifest it, when you create it as a poem, when you create it as a new building or a piece of architecture or a new baked cake or a new play or a new project. All of those are manifestations. All of that is just trying to be born into this reality, and you get to choose yes or no. Is this something that I want to be birthing and use my creative energy to create? The throat center is connected to just about every other center other than the pressure centers. Even the sacral center, it just kind of connects up on the left over there from the 34. to the 20. So every other center other than the pressure centers actually connect to the throat. That's how important this gate is. If your throat center is not defined, you're more likely to be the type of person that could be in line asking for help, asking for someone to get you something, and probably not be heard. Whereas somebody with a defined throat center could walk up and be like, hey, I need some help over here, and they'll immediately hear that person. It's not a fault in the design. It's just that we're all unique and we're all different. And it's to know that if any of you don't have a defined throat center, it means that it's really especially vital for you to use your strategy and authority, because when you do that, then your throat center actually becomes even more powerful. Your throat center, again, it's a manifesting center. Your questions to ask, if it's open, are these words mine? Are these things I'm talking about, these topics, are these creations mine? And secondly, because it's the place of manifestation, we need to ask ourselves, are we trying to attract attention? Are we doing things outside of ourselves in order to try to get focus on us? If your throat center is defined, you're more than likely to be speaking about whatever it's connected to. This particular chart that I have on the screen, this person's going to be speaking more about things that drive them from their identity or who they are, or the things that are impassioned from their soul and their inner spirit. If it was connected to the splenic center, they may be talking more about intuitions or base fears in humanity, or even health and vitality. And emotional wave is going to be talking about things about what drives a person, the person's passions, their emotions, anything that has to do with those waves and those depths of emotion and those things that really color life and make life a lot deeper from the emotional standpoint and feelings of that sort. The next center down is going to be the G center. If your G center is not defined, you may have had a frustrating time really with the question of who am I? Like, people with the open identity center, this yellow triangle in the middle, struggle sometimes because with it open, no matter who you're hanging out with, you're going to feel that person so much that you can easily almost be a chameleon. It's the type of person that maybe in school or high school could hang with all different kinds of groups or people, because it's like you totally could relate or understand each of them on a personal level almost. But as soon as you pull away from that group and you go back with yourself, it could just be like, yeah, that was cool. I could do it if I'm hanging out with them, but it's not something you're going to do all by yourself. And so again, especially with an open identity center, because this is the seat of the soul. This is your magnetic monopole. This is the place that's really on the chart, more your heart center than anything. And this one's about you. This is about who you are. What is it that makes your soul identity what you came here to be? And if it's open, it could feel confusing. Like, who am I? Like, I feel like somebody else with every person that I hang out with. Your number one gift to you is to hang out by yourself. Really have that alone time. And when you're alone, when you're out and away from people for a significant amount of time, let yourself at least have half a day every once in a while. And when you do that, what lights you up? What is it that you like? Is it sitting out, in the sunshine? Is it going for walks? Is it being more active? Is it baking? Is it, playing music? What is it that you really like? Your job in this life is to actually get to know you, to spend enough time with you that you actually figure out who you are by being away from other people. And then you have to remember who you are when you're with people, because again, that open center is going to magnify other people's energy inside of you. And you need to go like, whew, okay, I can feel other people, but that's not who I am. I know me. But here's the cool thing. Because you chose to have an open identity center, if you have an open identity center, it means that you actually chose to come here to really relate with other people. You came here to really feel humanity, to know people, to be, in truth, such an intuitive gift, like an empath. Not only do you feel them, you probably feel them way more than they even feel themselves. And when you know what that gift is, how are you going to use that gift? How are you going to choose to relate to that other person? And what is it that they're in your life for? And you get to ask yourself, okay, have I been being an empath trying to, fix other people? Or is my path here just to know, just to see? Sometimes that's all people need, is to be noticed, to be seen. So you get to ask yourself, number one, first of all, who am I? Who am I? What is it that I love? What is it that lights me up? And two, what is it that lights you up that you feel that you could use your gift for in being able to tap into other people? If you have an open center, ask yourself on a really deep level, I know I chose this for a reason. What's my gift? Again, the questions you would ask yourself in this soul see is, am I being me? Is this me? And am I looking for love or direction from outside of me? The next one we're going to go to is the heart and the will center. This one's really amazing. It's a small little red center over here on the right-hand side of the chart. And aside from the top, the head center, it has the least gates in it, except for the head center with only 3. It's only got 4 gates in it, and all of these gates have to do with either about control, willpower, or creating in some way from the heart. It's called the heart center and the will center. But it really has a lot to do with the will and our control. And in this, we have gates within it that are, some of them, so gate 51, if anybody has gate 51 in their chart, this gate is about shocking you. It's about shocking you on your path, waking you up over and over again in order for you to kind of like, reassess your life and go like, what is it that I came here to do? I know I'm on a life path and a mission to be more, to actually see what the truth is behind all of this. What is the greater purpose of life? This will center is not defined in a lot of people's charts, so it tends to be a little bit more rare. It tends to be, I've heard different resources, anywhere from up to 8% to 16% of humanity has it colored in. One of the main things to know, if your heart center is open, that question is, am I worthy? And am I trying to prove myself? Am I trying to prove I'm good enough? Am I trying to prove I'm lovable? Am I trying to prove that I have the skills necessary? This will center holds within it the very base root of what most of humanity is suffering from, which is unlovability and unworthiness. And to think that very few people considering the statistics of the charts, that most people have an open heart center and will center, it means that the majority of the people on this planet have come here with an open center in order to learn what is lovability and what is the falseness of unworthiness. Because we're all meant to really know who we really are. And if the impulse with an open center is actually to feel unworthy or unlovable, then we realize that most of the people on the planet are feeling this way. And our gift in knowing that is to know that it's a lie, to know it's not true. And that it's our job to take every time we get that impulse and to stop it. And to go, oh, okay, I acknowledge that I have the open center, so I'm more prone to this. Okay, I acknowledge that, this feeling's coming up. Where did it come from? I know it's not my truth. Because what if all of us on the planet began to realize that we are worthy and we are lovable? What if every kid on this planet was able to feel lovable? Like, just that one vibration on the planet, how profound could that change absolutely everything? And so when you have an open heart center, an open will center, are these desires mine? Am I worthy? Am I having thoughts of worthiness, and am I trying to prove myself? People with an open heart center or will center tend to take on projects they don't even really want to do, just because they want to show another person that they can. They may agree to projects they don't really want to do in order to fit in, or to again, to prove themselves. They may feel unworthy. A lot of times people with an open heart or will center, if they work for themselves or charge for services, have a really hard time figuring out a fixed rate for their services, because they're like, oh, okay, well, this is what I want to charge, but oh, well, maybe I should give a discount, or maybe, well, maybe I'll give them a deal. Well, this is what I want, but for you, I'll do it for this price, So there's a tendency to cut oneself short because they don't feel that they are worth enough, or that they can charge that. So on the flip side, if people do have a heart center defined, it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have limiting beliefs in there, but they're more prone to be the type of people that I call the Tony Robbins type, where if they put their mind to something, it's like the will center. If they put their mind to something, I like to use the idea of a marathon, because I don't like running, so this impacts me. But say somebody with a will center decides they're going to run a marathon, and they say, yep, I'm going to do it. They've committed to it. They will wake up at 4 o'clock every morning, or whenever they've decided, and they will practice every day, even if they hate it. They'll still do it because they said they would. They'll get there, they will do it. They will run that marathon, and they will complete it because they said they did, or that they would, whether or not they love it. Whereas somebody without a will center defined might say, yeah, I'm going to run a marathon. That sounds like a really good idea. And then they start running at 4 in the morning, and they say, this is the silliest thing I've ever decided I'm going to do. And they'll can it and then go. Unless somebody with a defined will, like an undefined will center, really has a passion for something, if something isn't in alignment with their truth or what their like absolute passion is, if marathon running is not their passion, more than likely they're going to let it go. They'll just be like, nah, it's okay. I just decided I didn't like it. I say it's the Tony Robbins center, because if you think of people that go to Tony Robbins workshops, this motivational speaker that's bigger than life, and he can get 1,000 people in the room all fired up for something, and they're like, yes, I am, and yes, I'm going to do it. They go home. 3 days later, the energy is already starting to wane. A week later, it was a good idea, but I'm kind of back in my routines. He's got that energy of the will center. You're going to do it, you're going to do it. You have to know your type. You have to know who you are, and you have to know what motivates you. So whether or not your heart and will center is defined or not, if it is defined, make sure you're making the choices based on your strategy and authority, so that you're saying yes to the things that make you happy. Don't agree to the marathon just because, for whatever, to prove anything or anything like that. Do it because that's really what you like to do, And if you don't have a defined will center, but you love marathons, you'll do it too. But again, it's about your strategy and authority. Is it what really drives you? Is it what is really your passion? Because if so, that heart will center is about creating more in life. It's about creating the things in life above and beyond just the resources to live. It's about creating more of the luxuries in life, more of the comforts in life, more of the pleasures in life. And that once we can honor our base self, that we can actually have a life that's filled with happiness, joy, and all of these things. It doesn't have to be a drudgery. It can actually be a beautiful, beautiful life. And that's what the heart and the will center is all about. we talked about the emotional solar plexus center already on the right-hand side, so I just want to scoot over to the left-hand side. It's also brown if it's colored in. And this is your splenic center. The splenic center kind of holds a lot of different things. And in the evolution of the human design chart, that within a certain amount of time, I'm not sure the exact amount of time, but they've actually shown it by doing the charts out, that center is actually going to fall away. That center is actually not going to be part of humanity anymore. And here's what's really cool about that. The splenic center is our base center of our primal instincts. So this is the place that actually holds the core fears of life. The core fears like, what is death? And is there life after death? And is this life even worth it? This is the core things in life as far as do I know enough? Am I good enough? The fear of the future and the fear of the past. These are the things that are about really kind of more an instinctual fear. And that if we actually realize it, that it's more about creating in life based on a fear that something may not be good enough, or life might not be worth it, or that we may not know enough, as opposed to a whole new way of creating. What if we could create in this life based on what brought you happiness? What if you created because there was just a joy in like the idea of like, what will this be like if I create this? How cool would that be? The splenic center is really holding these fears, these base fears and these intuitions. And so our question to ask, if that splenic center is open, is, am I holding on to things that are not good for me? Are these fears mine, or are these intuitions mine? If your splenic center is open and you have any of the circles active in that particular center, you're more prone to actually pick up the fears and insecurities of people around you. And they will feel so instinctual and so real that they can paralyze a person. They can like keep you from acting or doing or being in the way that you really want to be. So that one's a really important center for you to pay attention to if it's not colored in. If it's colored in, then you came in with a defined way of being, and your gift is to figure out which gates are active in there, and then also what is it that you have come to basically bring into yourself? What have you come to basically heal and clear on the planet? Which base fears are you willing to completely erase from your reality and start moving into creating from your true strategy and authority? People with an open splenic center tend to be a little bit more sensitive to homeopathic kind of medicines. They seem to be a little bit more sensitive to feeling if they're not feeling very well, or if their body needs something. They tend to be more sensitive to if they're taking prescription drugs or things like that. Their body doesn't always do well with that kind of thing. They tend to do better with a little lighter treatments. If the splenic center is actually defined, those are the type of people that sometimes don't always feel if they're not feeling well. And they might be the type of person that needs to go to the doctor and they're like, no, I'm okay, until there's like a raging fever going on. And they're like, I should probably go. And they get there and you're like, yeah, your appendix was about to burst. And they're just like, oh, okay. And they're just the type that they tend to be able to go a little bit longer without just kind of feeling that things are okay. As far as the splenic center goes, again, it has a lot to do with intuitions too. It's not just instinctual intuitions, but it has to do a lot with clairvoyance and the knowing, and also auditory and like sense of smell intuition, sense of hearing intuition. And so if it's open, you have kind of an infinite way of which to reach intuition. And if it's defined, then you'll have more of a set way in which you reach your intuitive kind of knowingness within life. And I want to get through the last two. I know we're going a little bit long here. So the sacral. this is your power center. This is the most powerful center. It's going to be the red square. All of you have it here. So everybody's got that red square with the 5, 14, 29, 34, and all the gates all the way around it. It connects to just about every center as well, except for the ajna and the head. This is the motor. This is your energy center. This is your fuel. This is, again, it has the energy behind not only work, but behind creation and sex and reproducing. And I really, you know, there is that passion with it in there. And I want to just say that creation and reproduction isn't just about children. It's about creations. It's about projects. It's about products. It's about whatever you're passionate about. It could be that you're birthing a new song into this world. You could be birthing a new poem. You could be birthing a new class, a new idea, a new treatment. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Everything you do has an energy behind it of a new creation, and in that creation you are gifting something to the planet that is meant to help enliven it, to perpetuate it into a better future, to elongate its life for generations and generations to come. And that we honor our children, we honor that which we create, because they're our future. And we've gotten kind of flipped out of that. We've turned into a society that doesn't always see the children as the gift that they really are. We don't really see the children anymore as really our future, our you know, continuance, our like everything. These are our energy reproducing and fractalizing out. And we have gotten into a society where if you think of the word teenager, how many negative thoughts can come into your mind, or all of these like ideas of unruly children, and we separate ourselves from them, and we're like, ah, kids, these are us. We're divine creators. And what's happened is we've stepped out of remembering that we're really only meant to create that which resonates for us, that which we are impassioned about. And if we actually realize it, we can see the duality of it. We can see the duality of how many things have come into people's creations that, oh, I guess it just happened, right? And so there's not that love and that honor behind it. But when those of us who remember, those of us that are sitting here, those of us who can share this, those of us who can rekindle that remembrance, that we're only meant to create in this reality that which we honor, that which resonates for us as our truth, we're living on to the future. That's it. That's the fractalization. That's the love continuing on. That's the beauty continuing on. If everything is created like that, then it's really an honor of making better. That we're truly intending every thought, everything we speak, everything we do to actually be something that uplifts this planet and makes this planet a better place for now and for all futures. That is a huge thing to really step into, especially with a defined sacral center. It's really an honor to be able to hold this and to be perpetuating it. It's definitely the most powerful motor. And if you know people who don't have it defined, this is going to be any other type other than a generator. So every projector, every manifestor, and every reflector needs to ask, am I doing things that really aren't my inspiration? Do I know when enough is enough? And the very final one at the very bottom is the root center. Whoops, I keep going the wrong way. It's this, I believe it's brown. I'm not looking right at it. It's the other pressure center from the head center. This pressure is like your adrenals. This pressure is kind of like your kidneys, your adrenals. I like to think of this motor. It is a motor, but it's like a burst of energy. It's like a shot of espresso. It's really quick. It's meant to kick you into action and to go and to do, but it's not meant to stay on, because we know what adrenal fatigue is. We've got a society full of it. This is meant to be like in those race cars where there's a button that you can push, and as soon as you push that button, like the car gets a burst of energy, and then it speeds up, and then it goes back into driving its normal speed. It is your kick start, your kick booster, your boost of energy that like pushes you into project. It's a pressure center that pushes you into getting something off its feet and getting going. And it's awesome. Let's do it. Let's go. Yeah. And then once it gets going, that center can shut back down. And once that center shuts back down, then you go ahead and you use your type strategy authority as you honor it. If you're a projector, you rest. If you're a manifester, you go in and out. You rest, you do, you rest, you do. If your root center is open, you have the tendency to feel the pressure of other people around you. If other people have projects that they want done, you might feel the pressure to need to help them to get it done. You might feel the pressure that if you have an open root center, you may have to-do lists all over the place. And then you're looking at your to-do list and you're like, yeah, but I need to get it done before I sit down. And sometimes it's just good to know, like, that's just my pressure center. You know, is this my truth right now? Is this my project? Is this even mine? You'll feel the push to get things done from the center, and you just need to ask yourself, is this even mine? Really quickly, when you look at your chart, there's numbers in every single center. Those are called your gates. Every gate has an influence or an energy to it. It goes along with the I-Ching and your DNA. When two, so I'm going to use this example on this chart. The number 64 from the head and the number 47 from the ajna are both lit up. Therefore, they make what is called a channel. That means the line goes all the way through. So for you, there's going to be a channel going to your sacral center, to another center at to some other motor, or to some other place, because you're a generator. So you'll have a channel coming from your sacral center. Any place that you have a center that it connects both of them. So this yellow triangle has 10, and you can see it goes all the way down to 34. That creates what's called a channel. This one again, 32 to 54 at the bottom splenic to the base root has a channel. These are places in your chart where you have more of an up, a push, and a pull into what's going on in your reality. You have an energy in which you are choosing to infuse your aura of your life purpose, of what you came here to do. Any place that you have a center, see, like on this one, 61 and 63 only go halfway. 1 and 13, or 21 and 51 only go halfway, and so on and so forth. Those are called hanging gates. Those are defined gates for you. They're activated, but they aren't completely creating a channel. So for you, what's really good to know is that on those, it's creating a pulse and an energy within you that's kind of seeking its other half. It's like you have half of it, but you don't have the full channel. So there's always going to be an energy in you that's kind of wanting the rest of it. And so in projects, you'll generally tend to seek people who have the other half of those channels that benefit you. And a lot of times in relationships, you'll pick people who have the other half. It's almost like a magnetic pull, kind of attracting you to each other for whatever your purpose is of whatever each particular gate is. And just to know that these are places that, especially if you get your chart done, to actually have what each of those gates are, allows you to just get a better understanding of yourself and going like, oh, I might have a pulse. I might have an energy there. In particular, just taking this particular chart, if I look at the number 5 coming off of the sacral area, I know that that's the gate of rhythm right there. It means that if somebody has a gate 5 that is active, that they're going to be more inclined to having a routine in their life. They're going to be the type of person that is more inspired to do the same set pattern every day. And that's very comfortable for them. That's very happy for them. That when something gets out of alignment for their pattern for the day, and all of a sudden they were out of coffee and they didn't get their coffee, it could literally throw their day off. So if you know that about yourself, you can just realize, oh, nope, I'm going to shake that off. I just totally understand that's my gate of rhythm, but I'm still in the flow. Because what it's really trying to connect to is this entire channel is actually a channel of rhythm. And by 15, this is more the universal rhythms in life. This is more about really feeling the larger rhythms, the rhythms of the seasons and the rhythms of the planets and the rhythms of society. And as one gets into that broader rhythm, it goes from the tiny patterns into the bigger patterns. They realize that they can have a pattern, but it's okay if the pattern changes. And I might be one way this week, but you know what, next week, we're moving into spring. So this is going to be this, and maybe summer, I might have a whole other rhythm. And so that's how you figure out like what's best for you within your chart. Each of your circuits actually has an energy to them too. I'm just going to touch on this, but if you do choose, I can always help you with a chart reading. I would go into it in absolute detail for you, and I could actually not only go into detail for you, but what I'll do is I actually put together an entire report for you that tells you what every gate is in your chart and what every channel is in your chart, and whether it's collective, individual, or tribe. And also it really goes into what your incarnation cross is. This way you can actually sit and start to meditate with your chart and have all the little details in there. But within your chart, if you have channels activated in there, and you can vaguely see them in here, but just to know that there's 3 basic energies that come from your channels. And it's either going to be collective, individual, or tribe, which means collective means it's more of an energy about what's the best for the planet. These are the people that are like, you need to pick up the plastic because it'll be better for the planet. And the individual person is going to be more the person that's like, well, we need to, I need to do this because this is the freedom that I need to feel, or this is the new thing that I need to do to expand who I am. And the tribal person is also very important. They're holding the energy of maintaining structure. They're the type of people that will be more drawn to maybe being the teachers or holding positions within towns, or they're the people that make sure the roads are paved when the roads need to be paved. They're the people that are more prone to be able to keep the structure the way it is. And this is how we all work together. The individual person goes out and does something new and different because they need to be and they need to expand. And the collective person sees that individual person and goes like, wow, what they're doing is pretty amazing. You know what? If more people did that, the planet would be a better place. And then the collective person goes over to the tribal person and is like, we need to implement this because, we've been stuck in this pattern and this would really make a difference. And this is, again, just a really brief overview of, you may have one of each of these in your channel. You may have more of one than the other in your chart. But the truth is that we all have a way in which we work together. And again, this is about an energy of moving from how things are and what's the best way things can shift and change in order for humanity to keep expanding, to keep growing, to keep being more, to keep stepping in to a more enlightened and advanced way of being. Just have these last 2 things on here. Basically, again, you're going to see on there that you got a profile. Unfortunately, it's a lot of information, and I could do an entire 2-hour class on that, and I already know I went way over on this one. I could actually do an entire 2-hour class on that, but there is kind of a basic on here. So we have 2 4s in the group. So Diana is basically, it's a hermit opportunist. Cody's going to be a 4-6, which is the opportunist role model. Abby's the role model hermit. And then we have Heather as the martyr heretic, it's called. 2-5 is the hermit heretic, and then we got a 5-1, which is a heretic investigator. Please don't take these names super literal. They sound horrible. The investigator is basically the person that really likes to examine things before they make decisions. The hermit is kind of the person that really thrives with being home and the introspection and the going inward. And they do enjoy a lot of their home time, but they actually have a lot of magnetic energy that pulls people towards them. Martyr means the type of person that's actually going to be more experimental. They're the type of person that will be more of a try it kind of person, trial and error. They go out and they actually try things, and while trying things, then they usually see what works and see what doesn't work, and then they take that information and share it with others. The opportunist is the first group stepping out. So the first 3 are more introspective. The last 3, 4, 5, and 6 are more extra, like out into the world, sharing it with others. So line 4 is really about community and friendship and externalization. They're the person that's going to take information out. They really relate with their group and their people. The heretic, they say that it's called heretic because it's the person that's willing to go out and share ideas with others. They really start to take ideas, and it's called universalizing, where they're taking it out and sharing it and moving it. Because they're willing to kind of get up on a soapbox or actually share some things that maybe are new ideas or new ways of being, or to guide people in some way. A lot of people tend to see them how they think they want them to be. So a lot of times line 5s have a problem, like a reflector, a lot of ways, of people seeing them and projecting onto them who they think they should be for them. So a lot of times line 5s don't feel very seen. Line 6 is a role model. They're generally a line 3 up until about age 40. And after age 40, then they start to step slowly into their role model phase. But up until then, they do tend to be more trial and error. They've gone through a lot of bumps and bruises in life. And by the time they reach 40, they're starting to want to take a break from hitting every bump in the road. And then they go onto a rooftop and they kind of chill for a little bit and watch the world, usually still jumping in. And they're the type of person that by the time they hit their 60s, you realize they've been through a lot in their life, and they tend to be a role model whether or not anybody else is asking for any of their advice. It's just almost by their energy and who they are and who they be, they become a role model for others. So if you wanted to start with anything, I would say with your incarnation cross, which is going to be on your chart. It's called, you'll see it right there. It'll say either left angle or right angle. It'll have its own whatever. And these first 4 numbers are actually coming from the top 2 on the left and on the right of your chart of your personality and design. You'll see it. And I would just suggest to start with your first gate within your incarnation cross. So for this particular person, I would tell them start with gate 50. Know what gate 50 is, because this is basically the path of your life purpose. It's kind of who you came here to be. It's kind of when you just be you by your type, strategy, and design, you will automatically live this. You don't have to try. You'll only be your incarnation cross when you start living your strategy and design. And then other than that, the last thing I'll share with you this evening is that as you look at these going down, I'm going to go back to the better slide. The aspect of your chart that uses the astrology, if you can see right on here, it's the sun, earth, moon, north node, south node, Mercury, Venus, and it goes on. It does not use all of the planets that an actual astrology chart does, but these are the ones that are used within the human design. And the top is the sun, the second is the earth. These are the most influential in your chart, and as it goes down, the influence begins to be a little less and a little less and a little less. So the most influential are in the top. That's where you'd want to start. And then if you wanted to, you would just keep working your way through those. You would see what's in your earth, what's in your moon, what's in your north node, your south node. And then that's how you would understand what all the influence is for you.